Right, we'll do a Dagsy's Dribble special, the second in as many days. Thank you for everyone that watched the last Dagsy's Dribble. Unfortunately, I chopped off the end of it. The end of it was just to say that US stocks of US military contractors has gone up, understandably. Right, I'll just quickly run over what I covered in the last Dagsy's Dribble. December 27th, a rocket attack on a Iraqi military base killed an American contractor. 2 days later, F-15 warplanes bombed 3 sites in Iraq, killing 25. Following the funeral procession of those 25, protesters moved on to the US Embassy and attacked the US Embassy. In response to that incident, the US military targeted and assassinated Lieutenant General Soleimani of Iran, the highest military member of Iran and pretty much the second in charge of the country. He had 80% approval in the country, so was highly loved and regarded by the Iranian people. But also, as well as targeting Soleimani, the US assassinated a Iraqi military commander, second in command, al-Muhandis. So not only has the US declared war on Iran, they've also declared war on Iraq. Soleimani was considered one of the greatest military heroes of the 21st century for his defeat of ISIS and Daesh in Iraq and Syria. The Iranian people loved him because he kept Daesh out of Iran. Now, over the last 2 days, we have witnessed millions, absolutely millions, of people coming out across the Middle East to say farewell to General Soleimani. The crowds have just been huge, massive. Crowds have been coming out in Palestine, Lebanon, Iraq and Iran. There is also protests happening in Pakistan, Turkey and also London. There was to be a funeral held for him in Tehran, but that has since been cancelled because of the massive turnout in support of Soleimani over the last few days. They will still be having a ceremony at the Tehran University. Got a massive list of notes here. After the ceremony in Tehran, he will be finally laid to rest in his hometown on Tuesday. And any time from then, we can expect a response from the Iranian military, and it will be a military response. Iran has raised its red flag of revenge over one of its mosques, over several of its mosques, I think. Now, the red flag of revenge dates back to the 7th century, following a battle in Karbala. It is a flag raised to avenge the dead. First appeared in 7th century. This flag has not been raised since the Middle Ages. So it goes to show how serious the Iranians are. A ex-IDF chief, Israeli Defense Force, has recently come out and said that they have been supplying ISIS and Al-Qaeda with weapons for years. So yes, ISIS, Daesh, Al-Qaeda is a Western product. I will put that video down there in the comments, so make sure you check out the comments. UK's Johnson has come out in support of the assassination and is sending ships to the Gulf. Overnight, the Hezbollah chief has declared war on all US military installations and personnel in the region. He stressed this is not a war against civilians, American civilians. This is a war against military installations. So UK's Johnson has made a grave mistake sending personnel to the Gulf. Many nations are saying this is state-sponsored terrorism. It is the US of A that is the terrorists. It is the worst US mistake they could have made. I will go into detail about how that decision was made by Trump later in the video. This is the beginning of the fall of the US empire. The entire Middle East region is completely sick of the US hegemony and dictatorship in the Middle East, and they want rid of the Americans in the Middle East. This is the beginning of the end of their occupation of the Middle East. Apparently there has been a bounty set on Donald Trump's head for 80 million, as said by an Iranian politician who has also said they can hit the White House. That 80 million is in reference to the population of Iran of 80 million. The UN has declared the assassination as a war crime and is threatening criminal liability. In a recent survey done on who is the most dangerous country in the world, not surprisingly, US topped it, with Pakistan coming second. The video I watched, which I'll put down there as well, Noam Chomsky joked that because Pakistan was so high up in rank would have been because of the Indian vote, and Iran was well down the list. The assassination has been compared to if Iran detonated a car bomb in London, assassinating the Secretary of Defense of the US. So this is serious business, folks. Iran is consulting with Russia and China on their options, and if this all hits the fan, Russia and China will be in behind Iran. Netanyahu overnight, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, let slip accidentally that Israel is a nuclear power. Everyone knew that, but no one was allowed to speak of it. Well, he's just embarrassed himself in Parliament by saying that Israel is a nuclear power. Military sources to Press TV, Iran, one of Iran's news agencies, have said that the US is evacuating personnel from Kuwait. I haven't seen anything to verify that yet, so I'll keep an eye on that. In the parliaments of Iraq and Iran, there has been chants from the politicians there. In Iran, the politicians were chanting death to America. They are sick of the hegemony of the US and they want the US out of the Middle East. And in Iraq, they have chanted, yes, yes, Soleimani, yes, yes, Muhandis, no, no, Israel, no, no, US. The Iraqi parliament has also voted to end the US presence in Iraq, and with the Hezbollah chief declaring war on US personnel all across the region, any military personnel left in Iraq will be leaving in a coffin. So I very much hope that Winston Peters gets off his arse and pulls his finger out of his bum and gets our troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq. As I said in my last video, I've been researching the Middle East area for the last nearly 2 decades. Now, during that time in the noughties, would have been the mid-noughties, 2005, 6, maybe 4, it was sometime around there. I was reading about a series of exchanges between Iran and North Korea by rail, and it was very much suspected that they were exchanging nuclear devices, so it is quite possible that Iran already has their hands on nuclear weapons. It has been suggested they already have 3 in their hands. Over the last few days there's been a few funny images come out and spread around the internet. The first one was Saturday, I think it was. Iran hacked into a government institution, a library in the US, and replaced it with this image. Also, there has been a mural go up. Can't remember whereabouts, but a mural has gone up of Bibi and Trump sharing a kiss. And also, there has been a response from God. No, I have nothing to do with it. I am not supporting the US. Now apparently Trump was given a list of options on what to do in regard to the embassy attack by protesters. He was given a list and apparently he chose the worst one that was put in as a joke. I'll come to that very soon. If you'd like to know my sources, I visit veteranstoday.com, RT.com, that's Russia Today, PressTV.com, that's Iranian TV, and of course Al Jazeera. I'll put the links down there as well. Here's one from Helen Clark that I said I would go over regarding the options put to Trump. It is reported that US officials put a range of options for retaliation against Iran in front of the president and were flabbergasted when he chose the most extreme one. Last time US killed a major military leader of any country was in World War II. So yes, in the coming days we can see the Americans starting to get pushed out of the entire Middle East region. Thanks for watching and keep in tune. I'll probably do another update in a few days depending on what goes down and when. But we can be for sure there will be military retaliation from Iran.